I feel excited, except that the microphone little button is off. Do I unmute the microphone, right? Oh, there. I think we should be good. That
Okay.
was, yep.
There we go.
We just saw a setting. So, okay, perhaps you couldn't hear me. Let's begin again. I'm Bonnie Low-Kramen, and I welcome you. We're broadcasting live from my home in Edison, New Jersey, and please meet Jennifer Wilner.
Hello, everybody.
What
Hi,
do you-
Bonnie.
Hey, Jen. What do you do? Tell our audience what you
So
do.
I am a virtual assistant with a niche for digital marketing, helping entrepreneurs like Bonnie with their Facebook marketing, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., to get their message out. And today I'm working with Bonnie, not virtually.
Yeah, we love that combination of working together. I mean, it's hard for me to design things over email and over the phone, and it's crazy to do that. So we love this combination of being able to work together one day a week, and then the rest of the time virtually. It's it's whatever works, and that's a lesson for the workplace of 2015. For 25 years, I worked as the personal assistant to actress Olympia Dukakis, and 4 years ago, I resigned from that work in order to speak and teach full-time. I designed the workshop for assistants that I wished had existed when I first started, called Be the Ultimate Assistant. It's a 2-day workshop. It's 17 hours. It's really intense. And 4 hours of that 17 hours are taught by the amazing Vicki Evans, who teaches technology and productivity. She's CEO of the Red Cape Company. Jen, you took our class in New York last year.
Yes, yeah. I was there, and it was pretty amazing. It just goes to show that just when you think you know everything that you could know about anything Microsoft, I learned a lot. It was huge, and I'm continued to learn a lot from Vicki.
Well. Yeah, I didn't prep you that we were going to talk about that. So, Robert, can you hear it? We're good. Yes, but there was a setting that just wasn't pressed. So, okay. So, all right. So, some of the themes, the subjects that have been coming up as Vicki and I are traveling the world and teaching these workshops are right at the top of the list. Is about building that ultimate relationship between assistants and managers, executives. That's something that can make or break an assistant. And we talk a lot about that, handling difficult situations and difficult challenges. And of course, those who know me know that I'm a very big advocate of speaking up. We've got the speakuppledge.com, and I write about it and do webinars about it, find your voice to speak up. So I invite you to go on my website and subscribe to the blog and the podcast series that Vicki and I are doing. All of these initiatives, the book, the podcast, the webinars, the classes, are all about one thing, and that's about designing resources that will support assistants and their managers to do their work better, faster, easier, more profits and more employee retention, and just happier. There's a lot of room for improvement in the workplace today, and that's from where I sit. And we have an opportunity to change things in forums like this. So if you're listening, I'd love to know who you are, and put any questions up on the screen. No question is off limits. We can talk about everything. So I'm just going to put some ideas out there, and if you have any questions or any comments, just put them on up, and you too, Jen, okay?
Okay.
All right. So time management is a big issue. The given, of course, is that we all only get 24 hours in a day. The question becomes, what do we do with all of that time? Are we really making the best use of our time? That's a big hot button that gets asked all the time. The other thing is about the need for training. The idea that in this workplace of 2015, that the idea of training the administrative staff is still a pretty new idea for companies. And what I can tell you is that I think that there's never been a better time to be an assistant than right now, but I also think there's never been a more complicated time to be an assistant than right now. And it's because of those complications that has created this need for ongoing training. And we need to pay attention to it. If companies are going to stay competitive and assistants are going to stay relevant and marketable and employed, it's critical. And then another topic that we talk a great deal about is the idea that assistants as a group are very comfortable being behind the scenes and in support of, and not as comfortable or mindful about being a leader. And in fact, if you are working as an assistant in 2015, you're a leader. That there are ways in which that you're operating on a day in, day out basis. It's just not necessarily called that. So we spend a lot of time in our workshops talking about leadership and the ways in which assistants can manage their managers that assistants can in that way be leaders. Because here's the thing, is it true, you can think this for yourself, is it true that people will say things to you that they would never say to your manager or executive? And I ask that in every room that I'm in, and inevitably there are a lot of nodding heads. So if that's true, that people will say things to you that they would never say to your manager, then that automatically means that you have information that they don't have. You know things that they don't. And I would go so far as to say that you as an assistant know better than your manager about certain things. You don't know everything about all things, but there are certain things because of your position and what you are privy to hearing and seeing, that what you know is a lot. And I'm encouraging of all assistants to responsibly share what you know and see, that you're not only hired to do a job, the tasks of your job, but you're also hired to say what you see. I mean, last week, Jen, I was in St. Louis, and I told the group how, I say to you, I want to know what you think.
Absolutely, all the time. Yes, I think it's important.
And you come to events with me, and I can't be everywhere.
No.
So it's a vital thing. Was this a new concept for you, or have you always felt comfortable speaking up and saying what's on your mind?
In the past, maybe 15 years, I felt more comfortable speaking up, but I was a bit of a wallflower when I started my professional career, and I just kind of went with it and thought outside the box, but there was a bit of a nervousness about, kind of coming back and talking to somebody and voicing my opinion.
Yeah, it feels like a risk, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like a weight on your shoulders, and you're really not sure how you're going to be perceived by a manager.
And, when I first started, I tell this in my workshops, when I first started, I was under two misconceptions, and that is whoever I was working for and with, that they knew everything, and B, that they were right about everything. And wow, that's totally not true. So I'm saying it still once again. I want to know what you think.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to just do this here. Okay. So again, if you have any comments or questions, put them in the dialogue box, and we'll take a shot here at this first Google Hangout that I'm doing on the subject of building the ultimate partnership, of improving this workplace to make it a better world for us. That's one of the things I'm seeing as Vicki and I travel the world, is that workplace bullying is a serious, serious problem. And the only way that we're going to take a real hack at that is to take a leadership position, and to raise awareness to our leaders and executives about what's really going on in the workplace. And of course, it speaks again to speaking up. I was at an event last week, and I was in a room with a group of CEOs, executives who own their own companies, and they were there in the room with their assistants, with their executive assistants. And that's always a great pleasure for me, because I feel like for both groups, I can help pull back the curtain and offer them a view of each other's work that's unique. Because it's so interesting that I think we're all so busy doing our work on a day in, day out basis that we don't often afford ourselves the opportunity to talk about how we're doing the work, right? And so this was a great opportunity to focus on that relationship. And during the workshop, towards the end, in the Q&A, one of the CEOs said that he needed some help. And he was talking about how his company has had recent growth, and that in all these years, he's got people working with him, but for the first time, he now has a fabulous assistant, and I'm going to call her Kathy. And Kathy's been with him almost a year, and she was sitting right next to him during this whole conversation. And he was saying how one of his executives has come to him and complained and said, why does Kathy have to come to him to ask him information or to give him information? He wants to talk to the CEO. And the CEO was a bit uneasy about the situation with this executive who's been with him a long time. And he asked for, some ideas on what he could do. So I made a suggestion, and that was for him to have an executive at one of his executive staff meetings, that when everybody was in the room, not just the executive who had the issue with Kathy, and to have Kathy in the room also, either right next to the CEO or somewhere else around the table, and for the CEO to say to everyone to reintroduce Kathy and to emphasize how important she is to the operation of the company, how important she is to him and to his busy life, and to say explicitly that he expects everyone in the company to treat Kathy with the utmost respect and to treat her when she comes either asking for information or giving information, that it's as good as talking to him, and that he can let them in to what his life is like, his busy life. Because again, we only get those 24 hours in a day, and he's trying to make the best of his 24 hours through the use of Kathy. And he is attempting to make his company as profitable as it possibly can be. And by the way, that the company is responsible for the livelihoods of everybody in the room. And it was a really interesting conversation after that. This seemed like a suggestion that the CEO was wrapping his head around. Jen, do you have any comment about that? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really important that the assistant be treated with a lot of respect, and that oftentimes you're the messenger,
right?
And I've seen, in the past, not in this scenario with Bonnie, but I've seen in the past where people would say things to me that they wouldn't say to the people that I was reporting to, and they would share things, and they would also maybe act a little bit differently than me, than I would have preferred. There was just kind of those connotations that, oh, well, I don't really have to do this because, you'll take care of me, right? I don't really have to do that. And I supported a lot of sales staffs. So, but I think it's important so that the assistant is taken more seriously.
Right. And in this conversation, it's got to come from the top.
It has to.
It has to come from the leader, from the CEO, that the staff needs to hear about it from him. And then, of course, Kathy is prepared to deliver the goods for sure. But there's no way that she can garner the kind of respect that she deserves without the CEO's support. And so it was really important for every CEO in the room, every leader in the room to hear that, and every assistant in the room was really validated and felt like, yes, that needs to happen. I'm a big fan of Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In. I highly recommend it. And the title, Lean In, refers to the idea that women need to be at the table with men, i.e. a conference room, a staff meeting, and to not only be there, but to lean into the conversation, to be active and respected participants. Because again, this speaks to the idea that assistants know a lot. That to have Kathy in the room with the other VPs and the executives, it's very possible that she's going to have some significant information to share with the group, that she's not just there to take notes, but the fact that if we all agree and the executives know that Kathy knows things that they don't know, they need her in the room. It's not just a nice to have, they need her there, And so that's a change of mindset, I think, in this workplace of 2015, where assistants can be strategic business partners for their CEOs and the executive team, that they're not only there for support, but they're also there to lead and to manage. We've got this global economy going, this 24/7 instant access environment, which is moving so quickly. How can any leader expect to keep up with everything? I mean, newsflash, we're all still human who get tired and have bad days. And, we're not these machines that you plug into the wall with a hard drive in them. So everybody needs support. As I said, for 25 years, I worked with Olympia Dukakis, and she used to say that I don't have to be an expert in everything. I just need to know the experts to call upon. And that the secret to our relationship was mutual respect and empathy. The idea that we put ourselves in the other's shoes and try to imagine, well, if I was on the road for the last 10 days, what would I be feeling like when I got back home? The best assistants are empathic with their employers and their managers, and they imagine, what's the weather like where they're going, and what are they going to need when they come back, and how closely can I schedule them, and the nitty-gritty details that assistants are uniquely qualified to know. So I see we have a few viewers on the call. I'd love to know your questions and your thoughts about all this. I wonder, for example, do you get invited to sit in on meetings with your executives? And are you respected by the team? Is it an easy process to collaborate? Over the years, the people in Olympia's life, I became, just a given that in order to get things from Olympia, they needed to go through me. But there were a few people over the years who were not necessarily happy that they were only dealing with me and not her. But in the end, Olympia would sometimes need to say, I need you to deal with Bonnie on this, that she actually has more information than me on this. So, all right. Well, I think we're heading into the home stretch of this first Google Hangout. I'd love to know your comments and any questions that you have about, what's bugging you in this workplace. I don't know, Jen, I'm putting you on the spot. Is there anything bugging you? Anything that's been burning for you these days?
Burning for me.
I know you just had a big event.
Very, very big. I just did a scheduled for the past year, and a very large event for our family. And I have to say, I think that, you discussing that professionally, that if some of those business people that I worked with, if they had brought somebody to the table to talk to them while we were in those meetings, that I think some things might have gone a little bit smoother. And I, as the client, would not have had to suggest certain things to them, like having a tasting of a cake at your actual tasting of your event, where I didn't have to call the baker. So me being the assistant knew and kind of thought of, who do I have to reach out to find out certain things and make certain things happen for myself, the customer.
Right. I think sometimes the assumption is, well, if you pull the assistant into a meeting, then that means she's not able to do something else. But in reality, it'll end up saving time in the long run.
Right.
Because, executives can forget to tell things, or, omission, and my goodness, the devil's in the details, isn't it?
Yeah, the less minutia that you would have to worry about remembering to tell me just makes it easier for me to say, oh, well, what about this or this, and all the fine details and stuff. So it definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah. So what was the big lesson from your big event? What would you, if you had to change anything?
I had to change anything,
Does anything come to mind?
I would have taken a few more dance lessons.
Ah.
And
Yeah.
just maybe included a few more people in some of the planning. But I certainly have tips for all my vendors, so that's for sure.
I think you did great. and one event planning tip that I love is to do a post-mortem. Like
Absolutely, I can't wait to do that.
While it's still fresh, to make lists of the things that went, the things that you loved, the things that you didn't love, to maybe even include some photographs in the file, so that, because it's easy to remember an event, the day after, the week after, even 2 weeks after. But after that, like, it's going to be amazing. Like, now that I'm a lot of years past certain events, sometimes I have to struggle, like, what year was that? It's crazy, where something is so, isn't that incredible how things can be so fresh? That there's no way you think you'll ever forget it, and then it's gone.
Absolutely.
It's gone.
A big tip that one of our vendors thanked me for was a card table. I took a picture and sent her the picture of how I wanted the display to be. And I'm big, I even do that for myself for holidays. And she said, wow, nobody has ever sent me, outside of a party planner, and I'm not a party planner, she said nobody's ever done that, has ever sent me a mock-up of how it should be. So, and there's so many ways as an assistant, corporate or virtually, that we can do things like that, have mock-ups, have drawings, have floor plans.
Sure.
And things. And it's a big difference.
One of our students in our Ultimate Assistant class, one of her favorite tips is that, we all know about employee handbooks, and, which some assistants call the Bible, or, a manual. She also does a video of her, kind of a virtual tour of her filing cabinet and her office too. Wow. Isn't that a great idea?
That's a great idea. And
she includes the jump drive in, because, we talk about, God forbid, you get hit by the bus today. For me, the test of a great assistant, the ultimate assistant, is someone whose office runs smoothly when suddenly they're not there. That no assistant should be the only one with the password or the key or know where the file is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think we are coming to a close of our first Google Hangout.
Yeah, this was great.
Yay.
This is great.
So you are welcome to go on my website, bonnielowkramen.com, and to communicate with questions in the aftermath of this Google Hangout. I'd love to know what you think, and what's the burning issue. What are the burning issues in your workplace as you're doing your day to day? My email is bonnie@bonnielowkramen.com, and I am wishing you a great rest of your week. I thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Bonnie. This was fun.
Right. Yeah.
Can't wait till next time.
So we will see you next time. We'll let you know via Google, and see you.